Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this fabulous FIDM Museum conversation. And we are going to talk Wakanda Forever. This is amazing, fabulous conversation that we're going to have with costume designer Ruth E. Carter. It's a discussion with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever costume designer Ruth E. Carter. We are so honored to have everybody here. We have a huge RSVP, let me tell you. So I hope you're going to enjoy this hour with us and stay tuned to the end. And if you have any questions, because we'll be doing a Q&A at around 5:45, 15 minutes left. And so put in your questions in the Q&A and then we'll try to get to them. So welcome from England. Somebody from England just turned in. Hola, Montreal, Philadelphia, Washington, Richmond, Virginia, I see you. Los Angeles, Brazil. Oh my God, somebody from Brazil. Atlanta, Georgia. I love it. More Brazil. Detroit, Ohio, Vancouver, Arizona. Well, welcome to everybody for this fabulous conversation with costume designer, Academy Award winning costume designer, Ruth E. Carter. I am Nick Verreos. I am co-chair of the Fashion Design and Advanced Fashion Design program, as well as film and TV costume design programs right here at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM. All right, so I guess let's get started. So with that, let me introduce our very special guest. We are so honored to be in the Zoom presence of costume design royalty. Ruth E. Carter made history with Black Panther. The celebrated costume designer, there she is, helped bring the nation of Wakanda to life in 2018. Blending superhero with real-life African tradition. Her innovative Afrofuturist vision got her the Oscar for Best Costume Design in 2019, making her the first Black artist to win in this category. Nominated 4 times for an Academy Award for Best Costume Design for Malcolm X in 1992, Amistad 1997, Black Panther, which she won, and now for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Nearly 30 years in the business, over 40 films to her credit, including School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, What's Love Got to Do with It, The Butler, Selma, and many more. In 2021, Ruth E. Carter also received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. When it came time to return to Wakanda, Carter did not rest on her Academy Award winning costume laurels and stepped it up 10 notches. When one watches the film, you feel like you are with a friend. But that friend has gotten an upgrade, honey. The costumes, the fashion, it is a feast for the eyes. And in addition, not only are we back to Wakanda, but we are introduced to a Mesoamerican inspired underwater paradise, Talocan, and its inhabitants. To delve deeper into the incredible costumes of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, please help me welcome the incredible, incomparable Ruth E. Carter.
Hi, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome, well deserved. And you look fabulous. How are you doing, Ruth?
I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there, you know, when you're prepping during this time, and nomination is certainly, you know, something big to be very proud of, but you're very active. You're talking and I enjoy it so much. It's like I want to stay on pace, but the pace is pretty rigorous. Yeah.
Oh, I can just imagine, and especially with you. Again, you look fabulous. I love the sequins.
Oh, thank you. It's my little vintage top. Yes, my little.
I love it. Well, thank you again for doing this. We are so honored to have you. And if you can kind of see a peek a little bit right behind me, I have the exhibition from when was this, Ruth?
This was 2019.
Yeah, it was.
I have a little something behind me right there.
Ooh. Wow. I love it. Yes, this is from Black Panther, and it was at the FIDM Museum. And on March 7th, we're opening the next exhibition, the Art of Costume and Film exhibition, which will feature Ruth Carter's costumes for Wakanda Forever. More of that later. So at least save the date for March 7th. All right. So let's get to it. Are we ready? Are you ready, Ruth, for
I'm
questions?
ready. I'm ready. Fire away.
Okay, let's talk Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the costumes. They are so outstanding. I mean, I can just imagine, just from viewing the film, such an undertaking. Let's start from the inception. You know, the costume designers always talk about how they start with the script, the story, in-depth research, the characters. What was your process? When did you start? How did you start? And how long of a prep time did you have?
Oh, wow. Well, how much time do you have for me, Don? I started in July. We were prepping with a script that was written. Then we lost our friend. So we shut down. Kind of semi-shut down. We were allowed, because there was so much research to be had on this film with the Maya, the post-classic Maya, and what that looked like. So they allowed us to stay on to, you know, get a foundation of research and reading and talking to historians and development. Basically, we were still developing everything. And then we came back in October, I believe. Ryan was writing with Joe Robert Cole. And by January, we had sketches lined up. We were waiting for approvals. We had many, many sketches, lots of things to make, 9 superheroes in this film, a brand new military, the Navy. And so we started building everything and started shooting in June. So we had 6 months, which seems like a lot, but it really wasn't with these many layers. There's 3D in here, there's supplemental printing, there's all kind of race printing, there's a lot here.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, 6 months, like you said, you know, when I've heard other costume designers say, oh, I only have 5 weeks to prep and that kind of thing. But I mean, for such a huge undertaking.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, this is a 90% build. It's very little that was purchased, you know, very few scenes. So you need time, you need research and development. It's just massive.
When the filming, finally, when you started filming, was it still during COVID?
Yeah, we put this whole film together, you know, in the middle of a global pandemic, pre-vaccine. It was still very much a mystery about, you know, COVID, and we were being very safe and very careful, but still, I mean, it was rampant at the time. And so we're all being super careful. We did mostly our prep was on Zoom. We shared illustrations on Zooms, we shared research.
Wow.
I had illustrators working around the globe. I had manufacturers around the globe. And it was wonderful at the same time, because I got to meet other people in other countries who are doing some amazing work. And Zoom kind of did that. It unified everyone in a way.
Right. I read that you not only did you have people in LA, but Atlanta, New Zealand. So you literally had an international team with you, right?
Yes, we did. Ramonda's dress here was made in India at the World of Valaya. And we collaborated back and forth with the patterns and the prints and the colors and everything. And so we also had the Talocan. They were done at the Weta workshop in New Zealand. The Panther suit was done in Los Angeles. These Talocan, the underwater costumes, were done in Atlanta and you know, my base where you know, my office is. We have cutters and seamstresses and tailors there that we hire, and we built quite a few of these wonderful indigenous looks right there in Atlanta in the shop.
Wow. We're going to get to more. We're going to get specific to some of the costumes because they're too fabulous to miss. But before we get to that, you know, every time anybody mentions the fabulous Ruth Carter, the term Afrofuturists always comes to mind. It always follows, especially when it comes to Black Panther and the costumes. Talk a little bit about what is Afrofuturism to the people that may not know. what that means, what that entails. I know that, I just watched the movie again yesterday, and I mean, the scenes like in the market, and when you blend the traditional with the high fashion, it's just, like I said before, it's a feast for the eyes. But I want you to explain Afrofuturism.
Okay, thank you for that. For me, it's taking traditional style techniques, materials, fusing it into modern looks, modern silhouettes, modern ideas, honoring the tradition, keeping tradition mixed with new ideas, and infusing technology. So the technology is the part that makes it Afrofuturistic, because it is in a superhero model. So, but I like to think that the Afro part of Afrofuture is any culture that is inspiring modern ideas and also honoring tradition and using technology. So I feel it's, in this case, it's African culture, which Afro future. But the Afro part, I think it can be substituted with the Latin community, with the, Asian community, and that's what makes it exciting and relevant.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so here you see Ramonda with her one-shoulder dress, and the one-shoulder dress was also something that I feel had a beautiful meaning behind it. You see the Dora Milaje at the funeral with the same kind of exposed shoulder dress, and it feels fashionable. It feels edgy, but it also has great meaning. The power of women, the vulnerability of women. The strength of the arm as the Dora carry the casket, as Ramonda sits on the throne in this grayish vibranium dress. And so, those images are important because it's empowering. It's this film is about the strength of women to carry the nation, and it also honors Chadwick. So there's, so much undercurrent in the storytelling, in the costume telling. I love the funeral scene because it felt like we had one unified Africa, and you can actually see the different cultures in their cultural dress. You see the hats, you see the face paint, you can recognize cultural hair, the shells. It's the women with the galays. They feel like they're from different regions of Africa, and we had to assemble a lot of white cloth, white clothing. We printed a lot of African patterns onto the white just to also give it another texture. The dancers are wearing these turbans that have fur tops, if you would.
Yeah.
And their skirts are made out of ropes. We bought a bunch of rope and wound it, made a skirt out of it, and then brushed the coiling away.
Wow. So
there was so much, creativity in the process, and it felt really good. It was very cathartic because we had lost Chad, and this was, a way of expressing our grief, a way of expressing our joy, a way of, honoring him and making something really beautiful, where you can see the faces. That's what I love about the white as well, because you really do see the faces and the expressions.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's celebratory, but of course, like you said, it's grieving. And I love the different shades of ivory and white. You notice in this photo, guys, if you look at it, I'm sure it was purposeful on your end to have a little bit of cream, vanilla, or pure white. And then like you said, like you were saying with the traditional costumes, I see Mali, I see Benin, I see South Africa. It's sort of like this United Nations of Africa in there. They're all in there together.
Yes. That's what I love about it too.
I'm so happy that you brought up the one shoulder, because watching the movie, I wanted to ask you, one of the questions that I didn't even put together was there any meaning, and you just answered it, was there any meaning to the one sleeve, the one shoulder, because it was sort of like an Easter egg that to me, when I saw the door, when they were holding the coffin bearers, and they all wore the one sleeve, the white one sleeve. And then Shuri wears the one sleeve blue checkered outfit, lab as well. Then I'm like, okay, something's up here. And then I see the Shantung, gown that Queen Ramonda wears. And I'm like, okay, Ruth is trying to tell us something.
Sometimes, it happens by way of, what you like, and you start gravitating towards the things that you like that tell the story the best. And the first time that one shoulder dress showed up was in a show and tell for Ryan Coogler, where we had dressed mannequins in different styles for the Dora Milaje, and we wanted him to pick which style he liked for them for this scene, for the funeral, and he picked the one shoulder dress. And then I started to it started to make sense. It started to feel more like the storytelling, and the fact that they're holding the coffin up with the exposed arm is a metaphor for strength, for sadness, for vulnerability, for nakedness,
being exposed,
carrying a coffin. And then Ramonda sits on the throne in the one shoulder dress, and it's a vibranium color, silver. The seat is vibranium, so it actually, like, she embodies the throne with this dress. And the exposed skin, like the arm and the skin just make you see like her true power, in a sense, how strong that are. Angela has the best arms,
honey, those arms.
And so I started to feel that. I mean, we got to Shuri's scenes a little bit later, because we shoot out of order, and we're always planning. And this dress was something that I liked. It was just the right thing. And I sometimes feel that it's subconscious what you bring together as an artist when you're in flow. I think there's a flow to creativity, whether it's a painting or a costume design. You're always thinking about composition and telling the right color story, the right fabrics, the right prints. You see Queen Ramonda has mostly the indibele patterns on her ishikolo, her hat, her crown, and on her dress. And then Shuri's wearing these really heavy earrings. She has a heavy neck piece. It really does say the heaviness of her new responsibility is weighing. And again, you put these clothes on in fittings, you have fittings with them. Sometimes things aren't quite finished, but you have mock-ups and they feel right. When things feel right. And some of this was illustrated, but not to the letter. There's always something that you tweak, even after the illustration is done. You're still creating, you're still buying the fabrics, you're still printing, and the movie starts to form, and you make some adjustments.
Well, I'm so glad that you explained, because again, I just kept thinking, I'm like, there's something to the one shoulder. And I think on top of it, and you mentioned this, it's also high fashion. When you see a one shoulder, I mean, not only, like you said, it's empowering, it exposes the body. And now, especially with women, and I think it was such a female-centric, obvious film that to me, whereas in the past, having sheer dresses or exposing skin was, almost like an invitation to come and touch me. But now I think women have utilized, and I'm speaking as a fashion designer, where, the women have taken back that. So they are wearing the new dresses, or exposed, the cutouts and the exposed gowns and dresses. You see it on the red carpet. And it's, instead of like an invitation, it's more of like, I'm owning my body, but don't you dare touch me.
Yes, I'm strong, watch me roar,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's get to, I really want to speak about the Talocan and the inspiration of the costumes. We brought up the fact, obviously, there's a Mesoamerican inspired, the Mayan culture. Talk about working with historians and experts, because I'm sure, I think I read somewhere where, you might have, it was a back and forth, right, with them, and like,
Yes.
well, is this correct, or is this correct for that specific Mayan culture? Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's fascinating.
Yes, I mean the Maya culture. It was very important to us that we get it right. Most people, when they think of Mesoamerica, they think of the Aztecs. The Aztecs were much more documented than the Maya, and so we had to get real specific. We had to like share every photograph we've researched with. Dr. Geraldo Aradana was one of our historians, and he really had a wonderful way of explaining it to us. And so we gained knowledge about the Mayans and where to find the most authentic research. We looked at the Dresden Codex. We looked at the pottery. The pottery on it were scenes of Mayan culture that they painted with all kinds of clothing and costume, just regular. You saw what they were wearing, which was so cool.
Wow.
And after you got used to looking at it, you started to be more comfortable looking at it. It was making sense to you. It started, you knew what you were looking at. And because sometimes it was hard it might have been a dancing scene, or it might have been a ceremony, and you need the historians to tell you that, to show you that. Now you know how to look for the pottery. Now you know how to look for the ropes. They did, I loved Nemora's costume. I think she's one of my favorites. Today, her costumes were my favorites because we did so much dyeing, and she wears this braided look a lot in different tones. But the braiding is some of the things that we saw on the pottery and the figurines. We saw this braided thing. So it really does land it for me right in the simplicity of the Mayan culture and how they were coastal and it was really hot. And that's really just the historical anchor. When we went underwater and created the Talocan, we also infused what they were living around in their environment. And that's the bones, the carcasses, the fins, everything. And so this is Namora as with her lionfish inspired costume. And
so the headdress is inspired by the fish, right?
yes,
so
it's inspired by the fish.
Right there.
There she is. Yeah. And it's glorious because she wears the heck out of it. That's one of the things that, when a costume bridges with a performance, it's magic. It's just magic. So here she is on set, being silly, right? But when you look at her in the film, she is ready for battle. And she's
you see it in her eyes.
Women. You can see it. Oh, she's such a good actress and she was so focused. This is one of my favorite costumes, honestly. I love talking about the lionfish, how the lionfish is no bigger than the size of your hand in real life. So, this obviously is quite bigger. And we love that she could have a warrior costume crafted for her that honors the lionfish, not is the lionfish,
right.
They're not harvesting the fish to make their costume. So it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to experience how the light hits it and everything.
I think it was just stunning. Every time she came, she just when the feathers popped up from the water itself, I think that shook me. And that's what your costumes did. It's like seeing a shark fin. Every time I saw her just sort of rise up with those feathers, I'm like, ooh, trouble is coming.
Yes, we had concept artist Josh Nizzi, and he just got the idea. He just got it. And it was wonderful. The Weta Workshop put this costume together. They also did Namor, the necklace. Namor just represents, Mayan culture as well. It's just a beautiful thing to see, because his neck piece, which has so much history from Kukulkan, Chichen Itza, the feathered serpent, you know, the pearls that represent the water, the jade ear flares in his ears, the, you know, the vibranium for the Talokans was blue jade. So anytime you see the blue jade, it has little flecks in it that shimmer when it's in close up, I guess. But but you know, the Weta Workshop built these for us, and they just did a magnificent job.
Yeah, no, truly magnificent. Now, when you talk about, you know, you're talking about this, the pottery, and they almost seem like those were the Instagrams of that era. So you
Oh
see
yeah.
the garments. But I know that next time I go to the Yucatan or go to
Yes.
visit that area, I'm gonna be looking.
You're gonna think about the Talocans.
100%. Yes, yes. I'm gonna really try to like get out of the resort, you know, to really experience.
You have to,
sure.
do a hike or something like that. But
yeah,
you know, that's what a lot of people are down there for anyway, to see the ruins, to see the pyramids.
Right.
And I haven't gotten there yet, but I will. I'll take that trip.
No, for sure. Now let's go back to one of the photos, because I did talk about the headdress. I think it was a Tuma who also was inspired by the water. I think it's a hammerhead.
Yeah, he has
shark.
The
is that right?
Shark piece. Yes,
that's
Josh Mizzy right there. I mean, wow, you know, that's a doll. That's a Mattel doll. If you ask me. You know, so cool. And, you know, it was amazing how many layers there are to these costumes. You have to work with each element as its own element. You know, what is this? What is it made of? How big are they? And each thing gets its own mold, it gets its own carving. You know, jade is infused in places you can't see because it's dark, but they're beautiful costumes. I can't wait till they're down at FIDM. You will see up close, and you'll see all the detail in them for sure.
Now, staying with the Talocan, and you kind of briefly touched upon this, any like issues that you didn't even realize about working or, you know, designing costumes for the water. I can only imagine. Oh, look at your feet. I see you. You're like, yeah. You're like, yes.
Yeah, here we go. How much time do you have?
I'm thinking chlorine wasn't a friend, perhaps.
The chemicals were a problem. I mean, we saw some things coming, but we didn't necessarily know right away how to solve them. We had to experiment. So we did find another chemical that we dipped our fabrics in so they would be color fast and they could go into water that had the chemicals. But there's a weighting process where you have to weight things down, because as much as you imagine when you put something soft in the water, it's just gonna, you know, flow beautifully, like, you know, ballet or something, but it just does that. It just goes up and stays up.
So I was thinking it flops, but you're right. It does. It's gravity. It goes that way.
It goes up, and the water has its own mind. It's you know, it's a character that you have to deal with. And we tethered clothes. We weighted them. Some things were made rigid, like Namor's headpiece here, the feathered serpent. The leaves are silicone, but you can see how they. In VFX, they added a little bit more movement to them, and that's done on purpose. That's kind of the collaboration between VFX and costumes, that we have to understand what their needs are so that we can have the right end result. And they prefer to make the things move. So we built his headpiece with rigid silicone feathers so that VFX could do the movement. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but they do a beautiful job. We do a lot of R&D, a lot of research and development in the water. The water tank is a 20-foot tank that was available to us throughout prep, and they said anytime you can just, you know, put something in the water. It's like, yeah, but we need lighting, we need a camera, like. But
were you like all of a sudden to your assistants where you're like, I think we need to go to the tank right now. We need to take this.
Can we put that in? No, I was like, can you put that in the tank? You know, because, you know, it was basically, how does this dunk in water without a camera and
Right.
without lights?
Oh,
And we learned a lot. We learned a lot. You know, we had, you know, the big hurdle was the Jabari, because the Jabari wear raffia skirts and big wood armor and fur pelts on their shoulders.
oh.
Yeah, none of which float very well. And they were diving in the water in the story. So, you know, there was just a lot of things to consider. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
right
lot of
there.
things
Oh,
to
so what did
consider.
you do? What did you do? Because you put fur into the water and that ain't cute.
It is
What did
not
you do?
cute, and neither is a big old raffia skirt. So we actually modified the costume. He has a costume that has these like slats, like Roman slats. And so we made those out of rubber and gave them some weight. And so the scene where he does dive in, it's a little more minimal. Yeah. But then at the end, they come out with this armor, which is the gorilla face, because, you know, M'Baku in the comics was the gorilla king in a sense, you know,
Right.
and the silverback gorilla. And so one of my concept artists, Gosha in Siberia, he came up with this this wonderful this wonderful gorilla face on the chest of the armor. It's just beautiful.
What was that made of in this M'Baku costume?
Okay, so we study woods, we study different woods, so we decide, you know, what is the look of the wood. Then this is carved in clay. There's a clay sculpt made, then I get the clay sculpt, or they do lots of pictures because we were on Zoom, and I approve the clay sculpt, and then they make a mold, and then this is poured, silicone poured into a mold, and then it's painted to look like wood.
Ruth.
How about that?
How long does that take?
Months. That's why I said 6 months is nothing. It's not enough. Yeah, it takes months. It takes months. And look,
Well, it looks
has
incredible.
symbols down the front and the cowrie shells, and then that's after his original armor is smashed, and he gets this new armor and he puts vibranium in it because he
That's
realized
right. When he
the
gets
wood doesn't stand up to Namor.
amazing, amazing. All right, now let's talk about some of the women. Queen Ramonda and her purple UN gown.
Yeah.
Know that you collaborated with the House of Valaya, right? JJ Valaya.
JJ Valaya.
Yeah. Is this a Valaya gown?
It's not a Valaya gown. It's a Wakanda Forever.
I love it.
Ramonda gown. And it was definitely, you know, charted out. We sent him a sketch. We sent him the color palette. We sent him, you know, everything. He had a lot of questions for us, like with materialization and should we do embroidery? Should we do? And I didn't want it to feel a little too glitzy. So we did Panay velvet and embroidery. So it's mostly embroidery. I call it the totem dress because if you remember in BP1, the dress she has on in the first time we meet her on the landing pad is, you know, a big dress, and it has these symbols that are on it. She's wearing the ishikolo and the shoulder mantle, and that's how she makes her entrance into BP1. This is how she makes her entrance into Wakanda Forever. So now she is more than the queen. She is now the ruler of Wakanda. And this look was supposed to be in another scene. I had it planned for a totally different scene, and Ryan looked at the sketch and said, let's have her enter the United Nations
with this.
With this. At first you're like, wait, it's a gown. Wait, I was going to put her in a suit, maybe not. And you kind of like take it in, and you know what a strong look. Again, exposed arms, strong arms, vulnerability, beauty. Afro-future Black skin.
Everything.
We don't see Black skin on camera that much, but we see it here. We see it here.
You know, when she enters the UN, it is such a presence. I think it's imposing. I didn't even think twice about, oh, she's wearing a gown. It's just like, oh, it's a Tuesday. Of course she's gonna walk in
Yes,
with
what?
gorgeous purple gown and that headdress and read them, especially the French. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
the
yes,
French.
yes.
She read them to Phil, honey.
It's a powerful scene.
Yeah, really powerful scene. Now, is the hat, the Zulu hat? Now it's just married women can wear it. And is this particular one? Was it a 3D?
Yes, so,
headdress?
right, Julia Corner from UCLA, she teaches architecture. She was with us on BP1 and she did Queen Ramonda's Ishikolo, the married woman's hat, and the shoulder mantle from the first one. She also did this one. And,
So is it this one? That one? Is this
the
one of them?
purple and gold
Got it.
plus the collar. The collar is also 3D printed.
Oh, wow.
So this is like her little mini version of the first time we saw her with the big shoulder mantle. This is her mini version. And, you know, it has the tribal markings in it. It's inspired by the jewelry that Dorian twisted and the triangles. Dorian's earrings and the jade pieces that are going down the front are all like handmade jewelry. The rest of it is embroidered on the dress, but we ended up actually making the gold areas into like an armor piece that she wears on the beach, and we painted it silver. So this part is, you know, totally immersive into the storytelling. You have the Dora Milaje in a, you know, their official uniform, you know, for the UN.
Right.
And, you know, we made these neck pieces in-house. We had a 3D printer. We had molding. We had ways to mold, and we made those neck collars. And, you know, we really wanted it to not be their regular uniform. And because it actually framed Queen Ramonda a lot better, if you could imagine if they were in the bright red and the uniform and all
Right.
in the neck piece, and then Ramonda was like this, it might be a little over, you know, it might be a little much. So this way it can balance nicely, and she is the queen.
Yeah, for sure. When I saw them, I loved how they supported her, and in fact, and again, I think it's bringing in that, you know, that afrofuturism that I believe you really have created here, because to me, these outfits on them, they reminded me of something from Balmain, from the runway shows. Olivia Rousteing, the draping, the shoulders. And so it's like these strong, stylish, powerful, you know, women, her soldiers.
Yes,
supporting her. Again, it gave it to me. You gave it to me. Nice.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad I could. You know, was so much to build. There was so much to make. We just took it one step at a time. I had a great team. I had ACDs they were managing their lanes. Everyone had their lane. I had an ACD on the Dora because we upgraded the armor. I had an ACD on all of the illustrators and keeping research and keeping us in touch with the historian. And so everybody played a part that I couldn't have done it without them.
It takes a village.
It does take a village. And I think this nomination belongs to my whole team. I'll figure out how to thank every one of them, but there's hundreds of them.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk about some of the collaborations that you did with Adidas and Seed, which is, let me try and get this right. School of, what is it, Ruth?
School of Experimental Education and Design.
All right, talk about these particular pieces that you collaborated with Adidas and Seed.
Yeah, so it was really cool that Seed has this program where Black and brown women, LGBTQ, they come to this program, they bring their ideas. Adidas did these prototypes with the Seed program, and the girls designed them. We had a lot of Zooms. We talked about the story, of course, because even though they are designing really cool tennis shoes over at Adidas, it still has to work. But this completely did work for Shuri, who, was going to be very edgy, very different, very forward. And she has a couple of these. She has a yellow pair and this white pair that she wears with her tracksuit. The tracksuit was also designed with the seed program. We needed it to be purple for the royal family.
Of course, of
Have a
course.
little,
I noticed that. I noticed that Easter
Mhm.
egg.
Yes, have a little swing to the back of the jacket.
Say
So
why.
that-
Tell everybody why you wanted a little bit of a swing in the back of that
Well,
tractor.
because when she rides the motorcycle, it could fly. It could be sort of like her cape. And and I don't think I've ever seen that in a tracksuit. So it was nice to do something different. And I thought it was a really successful collaboration. This is their 5D shoe, which has this, string design, this like spirograph like
Oh yeah.
and then the hollow shoe was really cool, and Letitia just loved it from the start. At first, I was a little nervous. I was like, well, you either like this or you don't. It's that out there, and from the second she saw it, she was like, this is dope. I was like, yes, check the box.
I'm surprised that you didn't, that the actors and yourself didn't take like special orders, perhaps, of these sneakers.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Yeah, I'll look into that. It's not too late. Never
I
too
bet
late.
you have a sneak. You're not telling.
They actually gave me a pair. They haven't produced them for sale yet.
Oh, there you go. I knew you were hiding something. I'm gonna have to come to your house and look at your closet.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I could use your help, by the way. But anyway, I digress.
I love it. I love it. Now I know, for example, next to her, I know you had other collaborations. So you also used, I think that stunning, sharp, razor sharp jacket. Was that Thierry Mugler?
Excuse me. Yes, that was Mugler. We bought that from them. Mugler is a very small company too. And as much as we wanted it to be gifted, sometimes we go, oh, it's exposure for you, but
right.
They were a small company and they couldn't do it. So we bought it. And for her stunts, we had to make the multiples ourselves, the duplicates ourselves. But once you have it and you have it as a prototype, it's easy to go from there.
Right.
And
it looks great. It looked great.
Yeah, we really loved it. We loved it in blue too, but the black just worked well for it with the car, with the red.
Yeah. It's so sharp.
The shades. And
now this is Iris van Herpen in the Dutch Award.
Yeah, Iris did the jewelry piece for us. We collaborated. We collaborated on the illustration. We collaborated on the style, the detail, and she made it at her atelier with like clay and molded each piece by hand. And there's so many beautiful process photos of the making of this neck piece that you could see them working, sitting at the table and it laying out flat. It was just really beautiful to see. And then we made the dress that complements it underneath. And we really wanted it to be something that he gifted to her because she's a princess. He's royalty, she's royalty. And Letitia's just perfect in fashion. She just can wear some fashion, man.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was thinking the same thing when she's laying there in the lab.
Oh yeah, that's Hervé Leger.
Her body, and that's Hervé Leger, what she's wearing.
Yes.
Her long torso. I was just thinking of her as a fashion designer, how I would love to try her long neck, her extra long torso. She almost looked like we have what we call the 9-head fashion croquis, where everything is sort of stretched out and it's unreal. But I was looking at Letitia and I'm like, she's like a 9-head croquis.
She's long like that. Yeah. So you can get those high collars on her. Look how beautiful that is. Her panther suit has a high collar. You know, yeah, and she's a great person as well.
Let's finally end with the Black Panther, the new Black Panther costume. We're talking about Letitia. Anything specific, speaking of, to her body, to Letitia's, but the neck extended, the mask, anything that was specific that we see, like right there. I
Yeah,
noticed
well, you see the
little dots, the
Mhm.
little dots.
You see
Did
the
they
signature
signify?
dots. You also see in this costume, you see good and evil. You see, if you
Mm.
remember Killmonger from BP1, his suit was gold, had gold accents, and this one has gold and silver accents. So, you know, it does represent the, you know, the conflict that she has. But I love like the high neck. I love all of the metal parts to this costume, because it really does make it like a woman's suit. And without you knowing it, now that you know, you see like it feels a little bit more glamorous because of all of the silver and the gold.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure.
And
I
this is
love it. I love it.
yeah, and this is, you know, Marvel's Shuri Panther suit that Ryan Meinerding at Disney, he was the concept artist for this, and Film Illusions in the Valley, they made it, and I think they just do a beautiful job.
Yeah, beautiful job. Finally, how long did it take for Letitia to get into it?
Well, there is a muscle sculpt that she puts on first. And we didn't go too crazy with her muscle sculpt. You know, we did add, you know, stronger shoulders and
Mhm.
things like that, and calf, you know, stronger calf, so that you can see the prowess of the Black Panther. And then the top layer goes on next, and the helmet. So, I mean, this one was simple. So I would say she has help. She does have a fitter, a costumer with her at all times. But I would say hour.
Oh, okay. Okay, not bad.
Yeah, no, at the most, if that.
Not bad.
But
Not bad.
everything
Okay.
just, you zip right into everything.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's get to some questions. You know, Ruth, you and I could just sit here and
Yeah.
we could just like start making drinks and getting dinner, getting takeout, and you know.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's try it.
And but I still have to go over to your house and check out your closet and
Yeah,
see
you do.
what the shoe collection that
Cool.
you have. All right, let's start with some questions from our audience. Thank you so much for the questions. Now I have several here. Question they asked: where were the fabrics purchased, and did you decide? How did you decide to source them? That's a question from here.
Yeah, well, I have a fabric buyer, and that's all she does all day. They swatch fabrics from many places, New York, LA. If we need something from anywhere, they have books and catalogs, and we get fabrics from Japan, we get fabrics, I mean, you name it. But that's their sole job, is to make sure that I have all the materials that will be required to make this story come to life. Yeah, the fabric buyers are where we get mostly everything, and sometimes right there locally in Atlanta. You know, shout out to KLK. You know, sometimes when you need it fast and you need it right then, you got to go local. So.
I love it. I'm sure that when all of a sudden they get a call and says, "This is Ruth Carter." Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. What would you like?
You know, and I go in too, you know, on occasion. I go in because sometimes I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. I just want to like go and browse. But
Love it.
mostly I'm browsing through, you know, big catalogs.
All right, next question. How did the different cultures, oh, this is specific. How did the different cultures and traditions influence the shoe design specifically?
The shoe design for Shuri in her lab?
I'm assuming, or maybe shoe designs all in general.
Well, I'll start with Shuri. You know, if you remember her from the first film, you know, she's bored with tradition. You know, she's asking T'Challa what he's wearing. What are those? You know, all of a sudden he gets a tennis shoe. So, you know, she has a strong, you know, sneaker game. And
right.
So it doesn't represent tradition because she's, non-traditionalist, she only does it if she has to. You know how she said at the Warrior Falls, this is uncomfortable. Can we get a move on?
Yeah.
That's who she is. But footwear, we tried to make people like just be barefoot, times in the river province in Wakanda.
I noticed some of the sandals. You did have some really cool,
We had lots of
sandals in there. Again, I'm spotting the fashion, and I'm spotting like stuff that I could all, that could all like easily be from Prada or Loewe. That's what I'm spotting.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. Yeah, we used a Balenciaga sneaker on Okoye because it just kind of kept the line of that catsuit she was wearing. And it was also a shoe that she could do her stunts in. That was a big deal for her. She has so much activity that she does herself, from her Walking Dead days.
Right.
So we are like always searching the globe for the right shoe for Denai's martial arts or her stick fighting stances. So we found Balenciaga, like the sneaker kind of sock shoe, and that seemed to work.
Wonderful. We have a Okoye question, actually. What was the process in designing Okoye's various looks, in particular the jumpsuit she wears in the bridge fight as a low-key translation of her Dora uniform, and the looks that we see her during the deleted scenes when she is in with the border tribe?
Yes, that's right. Well, Adidas had a jumpsuit that had these bands that wrap your muscles. So if you're working out, they supported your muscle, the different muscle groups in your knee. There was a band also around the knee, and there was, one at the waist. And the look of it was so forward. It was so like edgy and futuristic kind of, and it had a feeling of, there's a technology to this. There's
Right.
And then we pretty much worked with Adidas. We got the pattern, and then we printed a tribal pattern down the front of it, and basically had it screened and made it up ourselves with their help. They gave us the pattern.
With their help. All right. Yeah. What is another question that we have from our audience? What is a favorite technique or a new costuming crafting technique that you learned or did for Wakanda Forever?
We were scanning vintage, and we were scanning jewelry with a little hand scanner. So like if you had this like big neck piece, and maybe it was like 300 years old or something, we could scan it with a hand scanner and then bring it into the computer, and the computer artist would clean it up, and then we 3D printed it right in the office, and we had a perfect duplicate that we had to paint and do a lot of stuff to it, but we had this antique, copy of an antique, which was, really great, because then we could decide whether we were going to make it flexible or keep it rigid and use it for our purposes without damaging the historical piece.
Therefore, the futurism in Afrofuturism, you love that newness. I would almost be afraid of it, but I mean, you have to embrace it and you have to bring it along. And then, of course, when you see how it sort of lifts your design and your work.
Yeah, you don't have to do a lot of it, just the right thing on the right character.
Right. Amazing. All right, another question. At what point do you get an idea or what the set or location will be when creating your costumes?
Say that again, please, one more time.
At what point do you get an idea? Do you find out what the set or location will be when you're creating the costumes? Yeah.
I think I get my ideas immediately. I start thinking about the story. I start like it's a little bit of a worry, because like here you are embarking on a big deal, a big movie, lots of things.
Mm,
And so you wanna like give yourself, some latitude and think of a direction. Like, what direction do I want this? How do I want this to feel? And then the more you talk with the director, the more we talked with Ryan Coogler and got his vision for the picture.
right.
You start to formulate ideas. Your mind starts to click, and then you assemble visual artists, concept artists, and you have you have different pods of them, and they all get research, and we come together with ideas that we tweak. And then there's a bigger meeting where you present the ideas. And usually I have a graphic artist that does a little layout for me, and makes it like a journey for all of us that are on Zoom that are watching your presentation. You want them to be inspired by some of the beautiful ideas you have, and you do a presentation. And as we discuss everything, some things don't make it, some things are great.
Right.
Some things right away. Some things you really want, and you're holding your breath. You're hoping that they kind of pass the mustard, as we all like things. And then you come back again. We have several times that we discuss the clothes, we discuss the look, we discuss the characters, we discuss who's in it, and what they're doing in the scene. And after a while, you get a sense of everything. It's sort of your choices make more sense because you know what you're doing. The
Well,
story.
I can imagine almost like they're friends that and you are, as a costume designer and with your team, you're thinking, would they wear this? Would they buy this? Would they have this in their closet? Does this feel real to them, right?
And I think, for this second in the installment, I guess, a lot of people knew Wakanda. So I had to actually like calm people down. I was like, okay, we're at the river province, and that's where there's fishermen, and there's, there are vendors, and people are buying organic, and it's that kind of a place. So it's not all of Wakanda, so don't get don't get happy, calm down. But
you have to bring it down.
I gotta bring it down. I'm like, you guys are doing too much. I know you love Black Panther 1, but stop,
Ruth Carter, I would love to be there in the room when Ruth Carter is like pulling them back. Hold on.
Yeah, like everyone can have like the ultimate Wakandan look,
Why not, Ruth? Come on now.
Some people are just, in a pair of shorts,
Come on. All right, last question. Was it personally special to be able to design a Black female superhero?
Yes, it was like incredibly, I think, reassuring that we have a place in a man's world, right? We have a place in the world of being strong, and the idea of being like the Black Panther, like what, and we did want her to feel like it was Shuri, so we didn't go too far with the muscles or anything like that. But then you have her combined with Queen Ramonda, and how strong her character is, and the Dora, and even personally working with the other cast members who were playing their roles. It's wonderful to see these women, young and old, come together and play these magnificent parts and represent, leaders, represent strong women, represent elders, represent, the youth. So.
Well, I think that's it. That's it, guys.
Oh,
I
wow,
think
we're done. No way.
we have reached the 6 p.m. hour, and personally, my Uber is here to take me to Ruth Carter's home. So I got to go. But I want to thank everyone who joined us from all over the world. And most importantly, I want to thank Academy Award-winning costume designer and a friend of FIDM and FIDM Museum, a friend of ours. And now I'm going to be her new stalker. the fabulous Ruth Carter. Everybody, mwah, thank you, Ruth.
Mwah.
It was such a joy, and
Thank
we
you.
can't wait for Wakanda Forever 3. Yay!
Whoa, I can wait. Give me a minute. Now. Give me a minute.
And best of luck
Thank
at
you.
the Academy Awards, and hopefully we'll see you at the opening of our FIDM exhibition. We
Oh,
love you, Ruth. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.